channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you haven't met me yet, I'm a full-time working mom, and on this channel I like to talk about design, specifically focusing on the home, how it impacts our mental health and well-being, and just different things that we can do daily to improve that. If that all sounds good to you, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be releasing videos every Sunday. I was on a Thursday upload schedule, but my editor said that Sunday would actually be a better day. So every Sunday. So in today's video, I wanted to go over some of my current goals for October in my different life categories, and I also wanted to go over some of the goals that I hit and some of the goals I am still slacking in. I also wanted to talk about October, which I'll be doing this year for the first time, and I'm really excited about that because it encompasses all of my different fall plans and ensures that I am following through with my fall bucket list. I'm focusing on me. More about that later. And I also wanted to do a fall mood board because fall is a whole mood, let's be honest. And of course, I wanted to also talk about my home and different areas that I want to focus on and different things that I want to improve. So I'm trying to rush into this while my daughter is still sleeping, and it's pretty early in the morning, so forgive me if I just look super raw. And actually, by the way, you kind of have a little sneak peek of my living room refresh, which I'll be posting that video the following week after you see this video. It was time for an upgrade, and I just wanted to do a couple little things that would kind of liven, freshen up my space without being overkill. The way I set up, and if you've seen a previous video of mine, I've done something similar, but the way that I set up my life planner is I separate it into different categories. So I'm just going to go through each category and talk about some of my goals in that category. So my personal goals this month, I want to complete my habit tracker. So I set up my habit tracker for my morning routine and also my night routine to help me get a little more consistent with my day-to-day. I am on a hybrid schedule, so some days I am home with my daughter working and then also taking care of her and trying to keep her entertained. So I wanted to make sure that I had some time dedicated specifically for me, which is typically in the morning and also at night. And admittedly, I'm not always able to follow my habit tracker. I set it up also so I can track my days and actually track some of like the different habits that might lead to a bad day, just to kind of see where I am emotionally. I try not to treat it as something that has to be like a very strict check off, check my boxes off type of thing. I want it to be a little bit more casual, and I want it to just kind of like feel it out. I don't want to force myself to do some of the items on my list if I'm just not feeling it, like if I really just don't want to, because in the past I've kind of just pushed myself to a point where I have to, complete these different tasks, and then of course there's burnout. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping things like a little bit more even keeled and not forcing myself. So completing the habit tracker is on my goal list, but like I said, it's not like a hard set, I must complete it. It's more like a kind of like a little gentle reminder, like, hey girl, you got some time, do that. I also have one here to add 3 photos to my vision board. So I think vision boards are really important. I'm more of a visual person, so I like to see things, or if I'm planning something, I just want to see it in front of me before I actually, like in order to help me like process, what it is, or, something that I want. So making sure I have things, obviously I'm working, obviously I'm doing design. Making sure things that are visually appealing really helps me to complete my goals. I want to update icon and banner for goals under each category. So I'm using Notion to plan all of this out, and I want to visually update like all of my little icons and the banners that they have in Notion. So when I open it up, it actually makes me want to do it more instead of having just this like, you know, cookie cutter template that I have right now. The goal is to spark my creativity, feed my creativity, so that I can keep things interesting for me. So my financial goals. So I did hit a couple of my goals last month. I wanted to open another savings account for my daughter. I have this goal on here to check in on my student loan payments. I mentioned before that part of my loans were forgiven because my school, crazy, ended up shutting down because they weren't accredited like they said that they were. So like some of my college friends, we were talking about it and we're like, so do we still have a degree? Like, you know, fully working in like the design field and everything now. So I don't know, but I'm really happy about not having to pay back those loans. So I just want to continuously check in on that because they mentioned possibly getting, you know, money back. So that would be nice. I mean, it's kind of like, is it asking for too much? Because we got part of our loans forgiven and now getting money back too. But the government has that money. Give it up, girl. Okay. I'm also planning on going to Europe with my family. So I wanted to look into a separate savings account for my Europe trip, and that's one of my goals that was on my list from last month, and I also kind of have it on this month too. I did start to look into it, and I think what I'm gonna do was open up a savings account that has a high yield interest rate. I did find some that has a high yield interest rate and there's no minimum balance. So while I'm in the process of saving, I can at least have like, you know, interest building on top of my savings because it's like, you know, free money. Why not? Just to help give me like a little boost for my trip. So I also have on here to calculate costs for the lifestyle that I want to live, which I'll talk about a little bit later in some of my other goals. I think it's really important to calculate costs because if you're just like, sometimes you have these dreams, I want to do that, and instead of just dreaming and hoping and wishing, it's really good to write out the numbers and have the numbers there so you have a set goal in mind, like, hey, I need to save this amount of money to hit this goal or that goal, X, Y, and Z. So that's what I really want to do. I want to write down all these different like goals that I have and for my lifestyle that I want to live and see how much it'll actually cost. Maybe it's completely out of budget. Maybe I need to make some more money, but it's definitely something that I want to do just to see if it's feasible. And forgive me if I I still have my retainer in from last night. So talking right now is a little bit harder than it normally is. If you wear a retainer, then you know. Okay, so leisure. Okay, so this is where Vlogtober comes into place. I have on here to complete my fall bucket list. A lot of the activities that I have planned for fall are actually in Vlogtober, and I wanted to originally just film like a long video every day, but I originally wanted to film a long video every day, but that would be a lot for not only me but for my editor to try to edit like a long form video every single day. I'm not there yet. So I'm gonna do a shorts video every day, but it's just gonna be different activities that I planned for the fall that are on my fall bucket list, that it kind of gives me that little extra push to actually complete those goals, because fall arguably is one of the best times of the year. I know it's personally one of my favorite seasons, and my guess is if you're watching this video, you probably also really love fall. It's right up there with spring and fall. I don't know, they're like the two best seasons. I know. So yeah, so I really want to make sure that I'm completing, you know, like these different activities, because right now I'm not in therapy, but that's on my list to get back into therapy. But one of my goals, or one of the things that my therapist talked about when I was in therapy, was doing things even when you don't feel like it. So, you know, when like that depression starts to settle in and you're just kind of like, I don't want to do that. Sometimes it helps to take like little baby steps to kind of like push yourself to do it, and then you end up feeling a lot better once you have done that task or completed that task. And sometimes you're still just not feeling it, and that's okay too, but you know, at least you actually tried. So fall has traditionally always been one of my favorite times of the year, so I want to make sure that I'm doing the different activities, and some days I may not be into it, but some days it might actually be, you know, some days I may actually really enjoy it. So anyway, complete my fall bucket list. That's a goal that I set for myself. I also want to finish one audiobook. I'm in the process of finishing an audiobook now, which is, I think it's called Head First, How the Mind Heals the Body. And it's actually a really interesting book. So the book is about a doctor who became a psychiatrist, and he treats different patients, and he kind of links like our physical well-being to our mental well-being, and he talks about different ailments that may affect our bodies, but how we possibly have control over, you know, certain ailments just by different factors that affect us mentally. And it's actually really interesting, and it's also eye-opening, and it's a good read so far. I'm like 3/4 of the way through, so I should be able to get that book done this month, this coming October. I also want to make sure that, so I also have one here to create one new activity per week for my daughter. I kind of follow a Montessori-ish type of method, and I've seen like so much progress in my daughter, and now that she's 2, she's very active and busy, and she wants to engage in all these different activities, and she's like interested in it and interested in learning. So they do toy cycling, or activity cycling. So I want to make sure that I'm cycling out some of the older activities that she's like mastered, meaning like different toys and things that she's figured out how to do, and have at least one new interesting thing planned for her per week to just continue to work on and develop her skills. So my health goals. This one's always a little bit of a struggle for me because I don't like going to the doctors, and I've been having some issues with my skin, and I just had a doctor's appointment. It was a follow-up appointment. I've been doing this light therapy to help heal my skin, and right now I have a lot of hyperpigmentation, like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation from the skin issues that I've been dealing with. So right now, which is good news, we've cut my treatment down to once a week as opposed to twice a week, and we're gonna do a follow-up in like a month or 2 to see how that's going, if I still feel like my skin is doing better and looking better. Right now the dermatologist said that my skin looks so much better compared to when we started the treatment, so we're gonna just continue with that. And I just have one here to schedule a follow-up with the dermatologist, because sometimes it is just very hard for me to schedule these appointments, because I just start to build up anxiety about, oh well, what if it's something's getting worse, or something, you know, bad is like, they're gonna say something bad is happening, or you know, whatever. So I specifically put that on there because scheduling doctor's appointments is actually very, very hard for me. Okay, I also want to make 2 new vegan dishes. So I've been doing relatively well with my vegan diet. Originally I started a vegan diet because I wanted to see if it did help with my skin, and I'm actually enjoying the vegan lifestyle somewhat. I don't stay strictly vegan. I still do eat dairy every now and then. I love pizza. It's very hard for me to give that up. I know cheese might be a little bit of an issue for me, but there's so many really tasty vegan dishes out there, and I don't want to get bored with, you know, the vegan lifestyle. So I want to make sure that I'm trying new vegan dishes just to make sure that I keep things interesting, and I give you know, the vegan lifestyle a try, because it does have its benefits if you do it right, if you're getting enough protein. And I've been also working with the dietitian to kind of help me with that and make sure I'm hitting my health goals. Oh, so I also want to purchase prenatals. nails. No, I'm not having another baby. That's another thing I talked to my dietitian about, because right now I've been doing AG1. So if you're familiar with AG1, it's this powder that you pour liquid into and then you like just, you know, drink it as your vitamins. It's also like a prebiotic, blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't consistent with drinking it every day, only because it's very hard for me to drink like this liquid every day, and then on top of that drink like my tea or coffee. Or I don't want to drink AG1 every single day because it's a lot of liquids to drink every day, and then I just don't want to do it. So I was also talking to my dietitian about like feeling like my hair was getting really thin and my nails were not as thick. So she said I could like alternate between AG1 and taking prenatal vitamins just to see how that all works out for me. And it also, you know, it helps with your nails and your hair. So that's what I'm going to. I also want to plan to meal prep at least 1 week. Food can be such a challenge with me. One, it can be, you know, time consuming trying to prepare like different dishes, and on top of that trying to prepare food for my daughter, and then I'm also working. So meal prepping will relieve a little bit of that tension and those problems for me. Also, sometimes I have a hard time finding things that I actually want to eat. I get so tired of food and finding things that I actually want to eat that are also healthy, which is also something that I am working through with my dietitian. So yeah, I want to meal prep at least 1 week. Breakfast, lunch, probably, maybe possibly dinner. But this was one of my goals last month and I still didn't get done. So it's another goal that I'm going to set for myself for this month. So for my mental health / spiritual goals, so my affirmations really do help me, and I want to make sure that I'm saying them. So I have on here to recite my affirmations 3 times a day and potentially 4 times a week at least, just to try to make sure that I am, you know, keeping up with my affirmations just for my own mental health. So I also put on here to create a widget on my phone for my affirmations, just to get like to have easier access to them. I also have to create a list of 3 therapists to contact. I really want to get back into therapy, and I also have this on my list to contact last month. So right now I have 1 person listed. I'm gonna add 2 more and just straight up get back into it. Fitness goal. So this is very loose because I basically go by how my body feels and what I'm feeling at the time. There was a time in my 20s when I used to go to the gym, like I would be there maybe like an hour and a half to 2 hours like every other day whenever I could, when I was working from home, because I used to work in the city in New York at that time. So now with my lifestyle, like working and then like taking care of my daughter, it's a little bit harder obviously. So I want to do at least 15 minutes of cardio 4 times a week as like a baseline standard, and that's kind of what I have been doing. But obviously I start to slack off sometimes, which leads me to my next point is I kind of want to look up some personal trainers, and this kind of ties back into my financial list of different things that I want for my lifestyle, and seeing if I can somehow like work those into my budget, i.e. a personal trainer. So I want to look up some personal trainers and see if they might be within my budget, and also realistically if I'll be able to keep up with it, and to, you know, have a personal trainer that I'm not wasting, if that makes any sense. I don't want to like hire this person and then not really be able to fully engage in like the workouts and like the routine of it. So my beauty goals are really important to me because, again, that's engaging in self-care and making sure I'm doing things for myself, because that ultimately impacts your mental health, which I need to keep things on track. I'm gonna try to take care of my daughter. So I'm pretty much like out of everything. I need a new moisturizer, a new toner, I want to try a K-Beauty serum. I need a AM moisturizer, PM moisturizer. I also want to find a new sunscreen. So I kind of have to get like all of the works. I want to make sure I purchase all of my skincare products that I need and also get back into a routine. Okay, so my whole home goals for this month. So I have on here to find 3 apartments to contact. I had this on my goal for last month and I have it again for this month because obviously it did not happen. So getting rid of the stuff on my balcony. I did a huge balcony declutter last October, and then we just moved. We had this old piano out here and we just had that removed. So now my balcony is pretty much clear to start setting it up. I also had a couple extra items that we were able to throw out. It was like an old table and chairs. It's really important to me to get the balcony set up because in wellness design, a huge part of it is connecting the outside and the inside. And that can mean like making sure you have access to fresh air, whether that's like opening a window or like a patio door, making sure you have fresh plants, or making sure you're using natural materials in your everyday life, natural wood and things like that. So it's important to me to have my balcony space set up even through the winter, to have a connection to the outside because I do have a lot of trees and it's like a wooded area right behind me. So it's important to have that space set up so I can take a breather when I need and kind of like reconnect when I don't have the time to like go outside and take a walk. It's very calming to just sit out there and like take in the fresh air and like, you know, the trees. And now especially it's very pretty because it's fall and the leaves are changing, the colors are changing. So I want to set that space up specifically for me and also my kitties. I have their cat tree out there and they love going out there. I open the door in the morning and they love going out there onto the balcony and, you know, checking out like the little birds and things like that. So I really want to make sure I get that space set up properly. I have some really cool ideas for that space and I just want to make sure it's completely cleared out. I also want to make sure I complete this month's home project. So for this month, I plan to do a refresh of my living room, which I did. Like I said, you'll see that video next. I also want to redo my entryway. That's on my list and it's been on my list probably for over a year now, and it's a small entryway because it's an apartment. So I want to really maximize the space and kind of just, you know, the benefits of designing your entryway and, you know, how you can maximize that space. It's also on my list. All I hear is the wood wicks going. This candle, this candle. I'm like, where's my fireplace? Sounds like I have a fireplace going. I also have some fall DIY projects that are planned. And also I want to do another declutter, and also it's about time for a deep clean. Oh, the declutter, the deep clean. Deep cleaning can be so, well, that's probably why, you know, most people are not doing it, but deep clean. So I have that on here as a video that I want to post for my regular like long form content. So I'm gonna get it done because that's one of my hard to do things. Deep cleans are very hard for me because it's very time consuming and it requires a lot of energy. But I have it on my goals. We're gonna get it done this month. I also want to create a kitchen board and can. I redid my kitchen, about a year ago now? And I completely decluttered and cleaned it out. I had brought a lot of stuff over here from my last apartment and now it's very pretty, but I need to put together items that I can actually use. So there are like different things that I'm missing. Like I need like bakeware. My cutlery, I had a set of 24 big spoons, big forks, little forks, knives. Guess what I have left now? I have one little spoon, like one big spoon, and like my daughter has like her little miniature fork and spoon. And that's like what happened to all of my cutlery? Like I don't have the slightest clue. Like, where did it go? How does cutlery just up and disappear, but it did. So I need to restock on cutlery. So I want to make a kitchen board in Canva to kind of like lay out like all the different things that I need, maybe some like glassware, but also super minimal because we don't do a lot of entertaining, and I don't want to have like a lot of things just cluttering my space, and I want to focus on pieces that I really like or I really enjoy, like a special mug or, you know, something like that, which I also like to change out seasonally. So I have that on here. And so I also have like business and career goals for this month. I did start looking into 4-pack parties, which the last video I released, I kind of showed you one of my setups that I did, which was for my daughter's 2nd birthday. She did a bubble bash, and I wanted to get back into like the business that I have with my sister, 4-pack parties, and just continue with that, continue trying to like stir up some business with that. It's really like a passion project for me, and it's definitely something that we could do on the weekends. So I want to get that back up and running, which part of that is getting a website going, which I started it, but I just need to like finish it and, you know, publish. I want to continue my YouTube consistency. For the most part, I have been as consistent as humanly possible because we all have our days. So I just want to continue with that. I want to make sure that I'm keeping that up because I actually really enjoy posting these videos, and it's something that I have to look forward to, and it's something that also, you know, just helps give me, I don't know, motivation, you know, to do different projects around my home. So it's definitely something that I feel really good about, and that's helping me a lot. So I want to continue my YouTube consistency. I also want to do more shorts and some more TikTok videos, more for fun. And I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I want to do some type of carpentry education. My goal one day is to build my own home. Maybe not, you know, everything specifically, but kind of be like a general contractor. I want to be able to like, you know, kind of help construct the walls and like just the placement of like the rooms and some architectural details. So I want to start obviously small and just work my way up and just kind of teach myself. And I think there's a lot of tools and resources out there to be able to do that. So I want to start now, and then hopefully one day I'll be able to. My father, which I wish I'd learned, you know, more things from him when he was here, but he was working well into his 60s. So that's definitely something that, you know, that's like my goal one day, to be able to build my own home. So that's pretty much all of my goals.